Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Dika Ananda. Today we will study about assessing reading, assessing grammar, assessing writing, assessing speaking, and the last assessing listening. Okay, let's start. Assessing reading. Reading is a dynamic process which the reader interacts with the text to construct meaning. Inherent in constructing meaning is the reader's ability to activate prior knowledge, use reading strategies, and adapt to the reader's situation. According to Dika argues that reading is a process that is carried and used by readers who want to get the message delivered by the author through the medium of word or written language. Reading assessment has great power to inform researchers, teachers, administration, and policymakers. Assessment practice can significantly benefit the learning environment, or they can inflict great harm. Reading assessment, therefore, needs to be treated with great care, attention, and respect. Teachers especially have a responsibility to understand the use and the impact of reading assessment and be mindful of the consequence of assessment. Do you know what is assessment? Assessment is general can be categorized in number of ways, and all assessment framework serve for important purpose. Reading assessments are used for many purposes, but an appropriate use begins from an understanding of the reading construct and awareness of the development of reading abilities and effort to reflect the construct in assessment text. 5 purposes for reading assessment. The first is reading proficiency assessment. Assessment of reading proficiency is important as a way to understand students' overall reading abilities and to determine if students are appropriately prepared for further learning. And the second is assessment of classroom learning. Assessment of reading environment in classroom settings involves the measurement of skill and knowledge gained over a period of time. And the third is assessment for learning. This assessment purpose is intended to support and promote student learning. In this case, the environment of reading abilities, performance evaluation, or a record or outcomes is not the goal instead. And the fourth is assessment of curricular effectiveness. Assessment outcomes that apply to curricular effectiveness include standardized testing. And the fifth is assessment for research purpose. Assessment for research purpose is a topic that is not generally addressed in assessment chapters, but it's one that is very important for reading research results as well as for the application for reading instruction. And 3 levels of assessing reading comprehension. The first level is literal comprehension. Is the most obvious. Comprehension at this level involves surface meaning. At this level, teachers can ask students to find information and ideas that are explicitly stated in the text. The second level is interpretive or referential comprehension. At this level, students go beyond what is said and read for deeper meanings. They must be able to read critically and analyze carefully. And the third is comprehension. Finally, it is critical reading, whereby ideas and information are evaluated. Critical evaluation occurs only after our students have understood the ideas and information that the writer has presented. Assessing grammar. Grammar is one of the important language as that is arrested separately on their own or integrated with other knowledge and skill. According to Purpura, in assessing grammar, the purpose is to assess grammatical knowledge as well as pragmatical knowledge. There is a grammatical ability to be assessed by language teacher, strategic competence, and metalinguistic knowledge. And do you know 5 characteristics to measure communicative grammar? The first is the test must provide more context than only a single sentence. The second is the test taker should understand what the communicative purpose of the task is and should also know who the intended audience. The third is must have to focus on meaning and not form to answer correctly. And the fourth, recognize is not sufficient. And the last, the test taker must be able to produce grammatical response. And principle of assessment serve as guidelines to ensure that a test is useful, appropriate, effective, and plausible. English grammar is simply a system of syntax that decided the order and patterns in which words are arranged into sentences. Focus on grammar only, meaning is a separated matter, integrated test, and discrete point test. Assessing writing. Writing assessment can be used for a variety of appropriate purposes, both inside the classroom and outside, providing assistance to students, awarding a grade, placing students in appropriate course, allowing them to exit a course or sequence or course, certifying proficiency and evaluating programs. Writing assessment is useful primarily as a means of improving teaching and learning. The primary purpose of any assessment should govern its design, its implementation, and generation and dissemination of its results. And do you know several types of writing that are done for assessment purpose? In particular, we will look this from the 4 levels of writing, which are the first is imitative. Imitative writing is focused strictly on the grammatical aspect of writing. The students simply reproduce what they say. Uh, this this is a common way to teach children how to write. The second is intensive. Intensive writing is more concerned about selecting the appropriate word for a given context. The third is intensive writing or display writing. Intensive writing is more concerned about selecting the appropriate word for a given context. Example, activities include grammatical transformation, such as changing of verbs to past tense, sequencing picture, and then describing picture and completing short sentence. And the fourth is self-writing, and the last is real writing. And the types of real writing are academic writing, vocational, and personal. And scoring method for responsive extensive writing are the first, holistic scoring. Holistic scoring provides an examiner with a single score regarding the quality of examiner work. The second is primary trait scoring, and the third is analytic scoring. Analytic scoring is a method of evaluating student work that requires assigning a separate score for each dimension of a task. Assessing speaking. Speaking is seen by language tester as the most difficult of the 4 language skills to assess. Assessing speaking requires that we either observe a live oral performance or that we capture the performance by some means for evaluation at later time. There are 4 assessment criteria of speaking: fluency and coherence. Discerning examines how fluently you can speak at length, your ability to talk without any pause or hesitation, and self-correction. The second is lexical research. In this criterion, the examiner determines whether you use a wide range of vocabulary or not, try to convey the meaning in different words, and use less common vocabulary. The third is grammatical range and accuracy. Here, your formation of sentence structure and proper application of grammar is determined. The fourth is pronunciation. Your ability to use intonation and the way you pronounce any word is taken into account. And types of spoken tests include interview, live monologue, recorded, role plays, collaborative tests, and discussion. Assessing listening. Listening is more than merely hearing words. Listening is an active process by which students receive, construct meaning from, and respond to spoken or nonverbal message. As such, it forms an integral part of the communication process and should not be separated from the other language art. And the objective of listening assessment are: the first, comprehending or survey structure element, such as phonemes, words, intonation, and grammatical category. The second is understanding of pragmatic context. And the third is determining meaning of auditory input. And the fourth is developing the skills of global or comprehensive understanding. Type of designing assessment listening are: the first, intensive listening; the second, responsive listening. Responsive listening we can design by using responsive listening to a relatively short stretch of language in order to make an equally short responsive listening can be assessed in modern manner. Responsive listening is another task used in listening assessment. And the third is selective listening. The type in this part is selective listening. We can design assessment tasks by using selective listening. It means processing stretches of discourse, such as short monologue for several minutes in order to scan for certain information. This assessment requires the student to actively listen, filter relevant information, and write the information where appropriate. And the fourth is extensive listening. The type of this part is extensive listening, where listening is used to develop global understanding of spoken language. Extensive listening tasks focus on macro scale of listening, producing larger stretches of language. These tasks are used for advanced English language learners. Okay guys, thank you so much for your attention. I'm sorry for my mistake. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you next time.